Are you tired of designing boring lessons, dumping data into an LMS, and leaving your learners with a passive learning experience? Do you wish your courses could be fun, like a game? Well, buckle up because today we're exploring how to level up instructional design with the power of gamification. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am joined by Efren Renan and Rhonelee, and I'm Callista Dawson, and we are the power trio here at LAPU who love to bring gamification and engagement to our online courses. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves a little bit? How long have you been doing instructional media design?
Yeah, I'm Rhonelee, and I have been doing instructional media design for about maybe over 6 to 7 years.
Mhm.
How about you, Efren?
Yeah, I'm Efren, and I've been working with instructional media for 4 years, which was amazing. It was fun.
I've been with LAP for 12 years this month. I haven't been doing instructional media the whole time, but I think I've been doing this for 7 years, also maybe 8. But I have a background in animation and media design, and so it's been really, really fun to bring that into the higher ed world, especially in terms of gamification, because I love playing games.
Yeah.
I think even people who don't think they like to play games really do, because as humans we are wired to play, right?
Yes.
That's why children play so much. It's along the way we forget how to play, or we devalue the importance of play.
That's true.
Yeah.
But why don't we start off by talking about what gamification is in terms of education? Do either of you have thoughts you'd like to share on that?
You want to go first, Efren?
Oh, yeah. No, so when doing with education, there's that element of challenge and feeling like you're progressing.
Mhm.
So say that you're going through a course, and you're not just taking a quiz, but you're going through like a scenario or just a process where you're showing that you're going through a step and showing you're progressing. And that's where the gamification part comes in. When you're learning, is that you're building your knowledge, and that's how I like to see it. You're step one, and like, wow, I'm going through this process knowing that I've developed and I've achieved this goal.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because knowing you're progressing towards something is in itself motivating.
Mhm.
When you go into an online classroom and you just have a bunch of text on the screen,
Mhm.
not only does that immediately disengage the brain, like I don't care how much you love to read, if you're just staring at words on the screen, your brain doesn't know where to start, it doesn't know where it's going, it doesn't know how long it's going to take. And so building in elements into an online course that tells the brain, like, here's where you're starting, here's where you're going, and here's how long it's going to take you to get there.
Yes.
And here's the steps you're going to take along the way. All of a sudden, it feels manageable and exciting.
Yes, I can see that.
What about you, Rhonelee? What do you have to put on the definition of gamification for education?
I feel like when it comes to a game, there always has to be some type of motivator or a reward. So when you, because when you play a game, you're not just doing it just to do it. You have to do it for an incentive. And I think gamification is definitely incentive driven. So that usually depends on your points or just different rewards.
Yeah. So what you're getting at are like the mechanics of how games work. And so the game industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason, right? Like, people love that dopamine that comes with achievement.
Mhm.
And gamifying education, like, you can break it down pretty much to like a granular level. Granular? There it is, granular. You can break it down on a granular level where you're motivating them on what may seem like small things, but when they add up together, it's a big thing. And then you can also build in the celebration, right?
Exactly.
So like, what makes it fun to play a video game? You're challenged, like you said, you're rewarded, and you get to feel like you accomplished something at the end.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't we bring that in to
Mhm.
education? Why don't we talk some more about the game mechanics? What are some of the things that you've built in to your designs in the past that fit this mold of gamification?
I think for me, since my expertise is more in the writing element, it's about the storytelling and kind of bring more characters to life with their backgrounds and sorry. Yes, it's bringing that storytelling and theme element
Okay,
to these characters.
that's super important, especially for the fact that human brains are wired to tell and hear story. So
Mhm.
learning through story just makes so much psychological sense.
Yes.
So that's a really good layer to make sure that you're spending time on when you're gamifying education. What about you, Efren? What are some of the mechanics you've leaned on?
Actually, it leans on the storytelling as well. I really think it's really important. So one of the games that I created was it's more part of a course where you're going through a process and you're telling a story from the beginning, like a scenario, and then where some parts where it gives you that sense where you get to choose which you think is correct, and it progresses, and it's that part where you're in the beginning and then you come into the end and you're learning something in that process. So that's more of the storytelling side.
So what I hear you saying is you've leaned on the more immersive style of game design for some of your
Yes.
projects. Yeah, immersion is a really cool thing to be able to include in especially online learning, because you're staring at a computer screen, right? So most
Yeah.
people wouldn't think you could create an immersive experience necessarily. But yeah, I've seen some of the games you've created, and they definitely are. Like, it puts the user in the first person perspective.
Mhm.
Scenario is given to you, and you are taking on a role in the scenario, right?
Yes.
And we'll get to see some of the examples of what you've made later, but I think that that's going to be a really important thing to consider when people are leaning towards gamifying their learning.
Mhm.
Find ways to make it immersive, because that immediately boosts the engagement level.
Mhm.
So let's see. What about points? Have you ever had to design anything that assigned points to the challenge that they're tackling?
I know there was a game that we created. I think we collaborated on one of these games where when you're creating or you're answering some questions, and the progression it puts like a point system. For example, it was you've got like a meter, and it's like, you reached already 5 points. This is correct, and that progress part actually helps motivate you, knowing where you are in that process. So visually, I feel that motivates you, and it's very important in gamification, knowing that I start from 0 points, now I'm at 100, and showing that where is my ending. There's 100%, of course, and knowing that I'm 50% in, I'm all halfway there. Let's do this. So that motivator really helps.
Along that line, like, I know I've worked on games in the past where it appears as though you have failed if you answered incorrectly, but the game is designed in such a way that you can always go back and do it again so that you see what the right answer was. But what I've noticed with those games is that the people who got it right on the first try still go back to see what the wrong answers were. I think they call that morbid curiosity, where you're like, well, I know I got it right, but I still want to know what would have happened if I got it wrong. And so that's an opportunity for us as designers to build in like fun, humorous elements where it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, you got the wrong answer, but we're going to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
I know you're big on humor, Efren. Can you talk a little bit about why humor makes things more fun?
Humor, it makes it more fun, because you kind of, I guess in a joking way, you say you made a mistake and then you add like a little humor. It doesn't like, oh, you're wrong or something. It's okay. Like, I mean, some people might see that as funny, but not everyone that's going through the process. But if you add like a little humor to something like that, just like, oh, I know you're doing something wrong, but you're doing great. Or so, I don't know how you'd react into something that would be funny, but knowing that even though it's something funny, it's still kind of rewarding in the sense that in humor, it's easier to remember the process of something. And I feel like, yeah, and adding humor into education, I think, is very important.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of formal education sounds so serious that I think at some point people decided that there was no room for having fun or injecting humor. And so, I don't know, I feel like we've tried over the years to reclaim that humanness, the human-centeredness of learning, and bringing in the things that we know drive people to learn, right?
Yeah.
Plus, the humor takes some of the pressure off. It's like that comic relief, like learning can be stressful, especially if you're not getting it on the first try. So having elements of humor can really take some of that pressure off.
It does.
Rhonelee, I know you're in our MSIDT program right now, and there's a lot of things that we did in that program that fall under the blanket of gamification. So what are some of the things that you've seen so far in your experience in the LMS that fall into these gamification categories?
I really like the real world rewards, as well as the I would say possibly maybe like the leaderboards.
Okay.
I know there's opportunities to like do exercises, and you post them, and so yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, one of the things that we decided to do in that program specifically was create badges that can be earned in each course, and they fill up these meters that you see every time you log in that show you how much progress you've made on a program level. So it's not just a course level, it's the whole program. And I'll show some of that at the end just so people can see exactly what it's looking like. But the idea that even though you're taking one course, you're filling up these learning buckets for competencies that you're achieving and gaining. And so that's a huge element of gamification that we're doing on a program level. And yeah, you mentioned leaderboards. That's always something useful. So let's talk on a program level still. What are some things that could be rewarded that would move you up on a leaderboard and keep you motivated to keep logging in?
I think a person who, let's just say, turns in an assignment or gets all the readings done, watches all the media, a person who participates in discussions, continues to talk to the professor, like those things.
Yeah. So anything that falls under the category of engagement could then also move you up the leaderboard. And I think that's also another very human aspect. Not everyone is as competitive as others, but on a basic human level, we are wired for competition. And so what better way to compete than a friendly competition of who's more engaged in their learning, right? and like the bar for participation is not low, but there's not a big hurdle to climb over. You just have to participate.
Yeah.
Well, I think what would be fun as a badge is when someone goes kind of beyond. So say that, it turned into 2 two assignments or something, or I'll do 3 comments. But some people like to go beyond. It's like, oh well, you went beyond that. You did 5 comments this week, so you get that badge. Is like, you're not saying that you're like overdoing it, but it's just like I like to show that I take this serious. And make it fun as well. And then other people are gonna see your leaderboards like, oh, I want that badge. I didn't know that badge existed. So it makes it fun. I would see that as fun.
The other way to display that sort of thing is through unlockables, right? Where they can see everything that they could achieve, but they have to unlock it. Yeah. So that's another way of motivating, where it's not competitive with anyone else, but it's with themselves. Like, what do I need to do to unlock all of those things that are available to me? Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's talk about some of the social aspects. So one of the benefits of having badges available in a program is that they can be shared on social media, right? So for instance, one of the badges that we have is for designing digital learning assets. So once I've achieved that badge, I can go put it on LinkedIn. I can go put it on Instagram. I can have a little brag moment, But it also looks good on a resume. So it is something I would want to achieve. So it has that intrinsic motivation built into it. Let's see. Are there any other examples you guys have had of the social recognition part? I know you both have worked on PD courses.
Well, I think it's more in terms of entering contests. It's always exciting. I think for me personally, when I sign up for a contest, it makes me more driven to do better on that assignment or that activity. And when I do get, let's just say, you place in the contest, you always want to brag about that. And I think that is definitely aligned with the social recognition element.
Yeah. So as designers, super fun to enter into a competition to show what you're made of. But on a student level, we can do that too as part of the gamification, even if it's just within the program, giving students an opportunity to show off what they know and then have rewards built into that. Yeah, that's super motivating. Exactly. All right, are we ready to dive in a little bit and show them what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I can go first. I will share my screen.
What are you going to show us?
So this was something that I worked on with you. It was the Group for Success project. It won an Omni Award, and this is basically an activity that talks about unconscious bias and how to deal with it in the workplace. You can also help me explain it. I will present it.
This is where the storytelling comes in, huh?
So we all say, no, not until I have my coffee, or you bet I'm going to hit the bell ringing. I'm a coffee person, so I would say that. I really like the vibe.
Can you hit the mute button on that one? The music's cute, but it's drowning you out.
Okay. Good morning. Did you get the files I asked for? Or hey, can you get me some coffee, please? I will say good morning. Yes, they're on your desk. Great. Thank you.
So this is very first-person immersive storytelling.
Review these employee files and determine which person could be more successful if you invested in them through a mentoring relationship. So let's go click on Carolee. Okay, so she's developed a reputation as a complainer. Several supervisors have noted that she is unwilling to work with others unless she gets her way on the project. She has been transferred between many departments where she whines about each task, the group, the processes, and her constant moving from team to team. She's currently working with an underperforming team. She watches the clock and complains to whomever will listen. People are known to avoid her.
Yikes. And we've got a little animation here. That's cute.
I wasn't even hired for the job I'm doing. I'm only here because someone put me here. So
lots of storytelling in this game.
We'll close that. Okay. And so if
I
we
see there's a little check mark there now next to her name.
Yeah.
So that shows that we engaged with that one. And so I think for this game to unlock the next part, you have to interact with all 5 pieces, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's just click on all of them. There's Tori.
Yeah, we don't need to read through all 5 of them. You can see the case files open, and now the continue button has popped up.
All right, let's just click with Carolee.
Okay, so we're going to mentor her.
Did any bias influence my choice?
Now this is a very intentional moment in the game right here, because up until this point, we haven't talked about our personal biases. They might not even realize that this game is about reflecting on bias. And so waiting until this part of the game to bring that up was really intentional, because it allowed them to read through the case studies and make their own assumptions without being influenced by the fact that we were going to ask them this question.
Yeah, it really makes you think. So I will say maybe ethnicity.
Yeah.
And then we have here really good explanation on the effects of bias.
Yep.
We'll continue. And then we'll do a final selection.
And this part was important too, because it gave them a chance to change their mind now that they're aware that they did have an influence of bias.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is this screen?
Let's go continue. And it says, well done. Your ability to navigate bias has led you to helping your mentee improve and reach their goals.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Ooh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Really
very fun, very heavy on the visual design and the storytelling. And even though we had to mute the sounds, like it's still fun, but there's another layer there of like the immersive, where you're hearing the phone ring in the office, and you've got the elevator music. So there's just lots of different layers to a game like this that makes it memorable and engaging.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for sharing that one.
Really.
Efren, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, let me play that for you. Hopefully
Which one is this?
This is the hiring process game.
Okay.
Let's see. Hopefully the audio is not as loud too. Do you hear it?
No.
Is it too loud? Oh, okay.
No.
So this is the hiring process game. So we did collaborate with one of the IDs, Kenna, and also with our HR team.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through it. So just play. So I wanted it in the like as if you're the first person and you're going through a whole process of interviews. So you will complete this hiring simulation to utilize some of the skills that we've learned. So we start and kind of just a brief storytelling of what's going on, what is your goal. So you'll be acting as a head recruiter, part of the Food Are Us company, and then you're gonna choose a few candidates from there.
Cool.
So right here we've received a form from the hiring manager, and this is a full-time and salary starts at 70,000. Stan was included 2 possible job descriptions for the position. Which job description is the most accurate for this position? Obviously, you're kind of reading through it. It seems more professional that you have more information, more showing your requirements. I know we all created some resumes. You ain't just gonna show your name and here's my email, hire me.
Right.
So of course it would be option 1. If I think it would tell you a feedback. So of course this is the part where you talked about what if I did
the wrong answer?
What would it say? So we would move forward. Since now that you have gathered the job description and the position information, you can post the job advertisement online. So this is fun because, yeah, within the hiring process, you have to post this online. You should
That's a
post the
wrong
job.
one.
Let's see. You should post the job advertisement on the website online. Of course, you would want to post it at much places. You
Yeah,
don't want to.
I want to see the wrong answer.
You do.
Yeah, click the first one.
Advertising only.
Nice
Although
try.
posting to your company's website is important to gain more traction on your job advertising, you should consider posting to outside sources to reach more potential candidates. And that's
Nice.
exactly what I said. You don't want to just put it on one area. It's like you put it on your. Imagine you put it only on your website. No one's gonna even know
No
where
one's
that
gonna-
exists.
So now you get the chance to do it correctly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, correct. You should post job advertisements,
Nice.
internal sources to gain more interest in opening. I do love when these pop out. It kind of helps me like know why I'm correct. So now that we have some applicants, so these are the candidates I created, and the way this works is that you drag which person you think is the right candidate, and
They have profiles.
so yeah, to view
Oh,
that, you would be able to view their profile, and then you would kind of tell them about them. I love his name, Gunther Guava. As a top executive at Easy as Pie, a competition of 2 hours, but for baking, he holds 2 PhDs in communication and marketing. Also graduated from the Culinary Institute of the World and is a pastry chef at this school.
Okay.
Let's see. So we can close it or we can submit it. Oh, the submit is when we're ready.
Yeah.
And then so we go through some of the profiles.
Do you remember which one's the correct one?
I do not know, actually. Which makes it fun. I have to go through the whole thing. She doesn't have any experience, of course, she is currently going to school to gain her master's for more.
I think it was Barbara Broccoli.
I think the way it works is I think you choose 4 out of the 5.
Oh, right. It's a selection process.
I think one of them was she doesn't have any experience with. Let's see which one. Oh, okay. I think that it was these. Great job. You chose the correct applicants. Next, you should forward the applications to the hiring manager for review. So now we've kind of moved forward, and we have ended up with 3 actually within that process. Hi, thank you for forwarding the application to me. I would like to move forward with application 2, 4, and 5. Applicant had too much experience for the mid-level management position. Of course, there is that process where there might be, and then so you continue. They're showing you who you have left. So you're gonna have a phone call with them, and you would kind of go through that.
I assume the narration plays when you go to this part. That's cool. Oh, is it playing right now? I don't think you shared your audio.
Oh, did you not hear that audio?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's for accessibility. You can read and hear it.
Yes.
And then you
That's
have
an important point. These games are accessible.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So which one is our winner from this pool?
Who do you feel like would be the right candidate? This is the hard part when you're hiring someone.
I like Mr. Crouton's name the best, but I think it might be Barbara Broccoli. I don't know.
Barbara Broccoli. Yeah.
for our candidates that you
Oh,
should move forward with. Canada does not have enough experience for this position.
okay, nice. Oh, so we were supposed to
Let's
do
see. Oh,
gotcha.
yeah. Which candidate will you hire? So we've moved forward with 2 of them. So now it goes. It does have a long storytelling to it.
Okay.
So you get to choose. Who you? Oh, sorry.
Well, don't choose him.
So I like it. That feel. So yeah, it is broccoli, and then you kind of congratulations, you have hired broccoli. So that's what
Nice.
makes it fun.
Yeah,
And then
and
you get to play them and make mistakes if
you
you
can play again. Yeah, exactly. But
Very
these games are cool because this is the exact same process that a hiring manager would go through. So for someone who's learning about this, it's a safe way for them to learn. They can
Mhm.
play, they can experiment, and they're going to remember this.
Mhm.
All right, you have another one too. Let's go through it real quick.
Let's see.
This
So
was the other
it's a second part to it.
Yeah.
So it's the employee termination.
Whoops. Womp womp.
Not the. I don't think it would be the. I don't think that's the funnest part of it. Sure.
But it's important to know how to do it.
The awkwardness. Logged in your set. Imagine that you're in. So you're going through the process. Same thing. You're first person. Would like to move forward with thank you, John. And this is the HR rep. So this one has actually a step process, like
Nice.
where you're at in this process. So this is
That's
where
a really cool progress bar, by the way.
thank you. I think that was what I was explaining and it ends up in the start
Yeah.
so that process, so that you know where you are, because we know that the termination process can be very long or time consuming. So that at least you have a good idea where you're at in the process. Choose the best option to pursue to the next step.
Why don't you just click us through this? We don't have to go through each step in detail. But that way they can see how the progress bar animates.
Yeah, so try again. Your meeting, and then gives you
all the tips. That's cool.
I think the tips are very important in the process of the game. But
Yeah,
so you're reaching there.
That's cool.
Sort of employee asking her to leave. Not very respectful. Notify employees that are affected by termination. Yeah, you do not want to make an organizational-wide announcement to update Tina's personal file. And it just has an ending process. And great job.
Nice.
Giving you a feedback. So I actually had fun creating that game as well.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, so the hiring process game, we also got a Omni Award gold.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then
did the termination game win one too?
Which Groom for Success, you guys got the bronze. I know we create other games, and the termination got a bronze as well.
Yeah. Yep, we've had some fun making our little games.
Loved it. Yeah, I love it.
All right, the last thing I would like to show is how our LMS looks with the MSIDT program. So on the home page, you can see my progress bar here. Like this is my personal dashboard. You can see all the different, the badges fill up these, we'll call them wheels. So I've gotten 4 out of the 5 badges that are available in this one, 4 out of 6 here. And these update every time I complete a course. So with that, you can also go to the awards tab and see all the different awards that I've gotten. So there's a bunch, and it's cool because they can be shared really easily. But yeah, when you click on them, it tells you exactly what that badge was for, when you got it, the evidence that you had to to provide in order to earn it. So that's broken down really well. And I think, yeah, badges, that's all of them. The certificates, I haven't gotten any certificates, but I think those come from the optional PD courses that we've got built in there. But anyways, this is a really cool progress meter that's on the program level, and it helps students to see at a glance as soon as they log in, like what they've accomplished. And I'll admit, like when I logged in for the first time and saw them all empty, it made me want to get to work so I could start filling them up. So that's a really cool visual way to motivate. And I think it's a good example of the use of progress bars and badges and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's just a little quick visual.
Visuals are really helpful when it's creating games.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it doesn't scream gamification, but in principle, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll do a quick little plug too for our program since we're talking about it. This is a Master of Science in Instructional Design and Technology program that we have here at LAPU. It's competency based, it's self-paced, and it runs on a subscription. So you would enroll for a subscription period for $2,500, and that gives you 4 months to do as much of the work as you can in that time. And then if you need more than 4 months, you would subscribe for another term. And so it is designed to be able to be completed in about 4 sessions is what we recommend. So you would potentially have your master's degree for $10,000, which is really affordable and kind of amazing. I'm a big fan. If you want to know more, you can email us at msidt@lapu.edu. You can scan the QR code on your screen. But it's a really exciting program for people in this field to be able to earn a master's degree for, in some cases, less than what others are charging for just a certificate. So something for you to consider. Yeah. Do either of you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share on gamification before we sign off?
Yeah, I think the main point or the main takeaway is that you can gamify anything. If something seems mundane to you, just figure out, okay, how can I make this fun by bringing that gamification element to it? And it's a great way to just get things done.
It is. Gamification is really helpful when it comes to learning, and it's also fun when you collaborate with subject matter experts because they have all that knowledge, and you're just putting all these knowledge that they have and putting it into a fun way, and that's where I love collaborating with other people to create these gamifications.
Yeah, I'll say some of the most fun I've had working here is building out these types of games and, like you said, collaborating, working with experts, and just being able to have fun with the learning process and creating something that someone's going to engage with and they're going to have fun. Like that's really rewarding as a designer.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining today and for sharing your expertise and the award-winning work that you've been able to produce here. Really appreciate your time and your talent. And thank you to our audience for joining us today. I hope you learned something new. Tune in again next week for another exciting episode of our live stream. Thank you so much. This is what learning feels like.